What you're looking at right now is the hardiest, fastest growing aquarium plant ever. This is Guppy Grass, and I'm going to give you everything you need to know about this plant, as well as the benefits and downsides I don't hear a lot of people talk about. First off, Guppy Grass is an extremely hardy and fast growing stem plant that is able to grow in virtually any tank setup, and it grows even better as a floater plant. I've been keeping Guppy Grass for over 2 years now, and have kept it in gravel, sand, and floating. I could say they grow equally well in each. If you keep them floating, they will actually send roots down to reach into the substrate for nutrients. But even if you plant them, this is going to happen as well. It's their unique way of trying to eat more, pretty similar to what the roots of Alodia do. In fact, Alodia roots look almost identical. Guppy Grass could grow in any tank size. Only thing to be concerned about is whether or not your tank is going to be able to support all their growth. As for lighting, you could really keep them in any light, however bright you want it to be. They're not picky about what light you give them, although they do grow even faster in high lighting. If there's very little light, you'll notice some of the stems at the bottom turning darkish. If you ever see that, it just signals that those dark stems are not receiving much light. Guppy Grass is one of the fastest growing aquarium plants you will ever encounter. They might take a while to settle down in the beginning, but once they do, Guppy Grass gets absolutely wild. They're going to be growing new stems all over the tank, and this might not be what you want as they don't grow uniformly. They send out new shoots just all over the place. It could get super unorganized. That's why in my tanks you could just see them growing everywhere. Somewhat looks like the way Pogo Stem Stellatus grows, but much harder to tame. Guppy Grass is one of the best plants for oxygenating the water and removing excess ammonia and nitrates. Guppy Grass is also used for many different tank setups. If you've watched Food the Flowerhorn, you'll see that even he had Guppy Grass in some of his scapes. I wouldn't call Guppy Grass an aquascaping plant, as it's rarely used in aquascapes, most likely because it grows so fast and so wildly. I can't imagine trimming it every once ever so often, so they're mostly present in low-tech aquariums. Another common use is for breeding tanks. In my experience, Guppy Grass is the best aquarium plant to breed shrimp, snails, and small egg-laying fish. It's a wonderful plant for the egg layers to lay their eggs on, and because they're so hardy, people also use them in outdoor tubs or ponds where they not only provide a spot for egg layers, but also create a great environment for the newly hatched babies. There are just so many benefits to using it in breeder tanks. Yeah, super fast growing plants, no ferts required at all. Fertilizers will only make them grow even crazier, especially liquid ferts that are present in the water column. If these plants are fertilized through liquid, they will absorb and outcompete every single bit of nutrient they could find. And this brings me to the downsides of this plant, which is that in some cases it may take away too many nutrients from other stem plants. This can also apply to rooted plants, but in my experience it happens way more to stem plants. Basically, when Guppy Grass gets overly fertilized or overly grown, any plant that tries to settle in gets destroyed by it. This is kind of similar to how duckweed blocks out all the light and prevents other plants from growing. Guppy Grass will outcompete other stem plants especially and prevent them from receiving any nutrients. This will get worse if you allow them to spread across the tank and block all the light. Again, this is only a worst case scenario. You could easily prevent all these issues through trimming. To prevent a lot of the problems caused by Guppy Grass, I would first off recommend regular trimming during water changes. Once every 2 to 3 weeks should be fine most of the time, but if you dose liquid fertilizer, which I don't recommend you do for these, they will speed up growth so much and everything will be absorbed. And that's why I wouldn't recommend using liquid ferts for Guppy Grass unless you're prepared for massive trimming. Now, the reason Guppy Grass doesn't affect rooted plants as much is because rooted plants acquire most of their nutrients from the substrate. Even though Guppy Grass could affect them with their roots, the effects are usually smaller and you could pull out the roots from under the substrate. Moral of the story is, whenever you notice your plants are getting outcompeted, trim the Guppy Grass before they spread out of control. They are called Guppy Grass for a good reason. Something else I want to touch on is its effectiveness for suppressing algae growth. As I've mentioned previously, this plant will outcompete all the available nutrients if possible, and this applies to nutrients algae uses as well. In my tanks, this plant is an absolute wonder when it comes to eliminating algae, so if you're looking for a plant to help soak up the nutrients to help get rid of algae, I believe you may have found your plant. Now I want to give you guys a quick little hack to potentially get some of these plants for free. If your local fish store offers them, you could try asking for a small snippet of these plants along with something else you're purchasing, since guppy grass grows so crazy and a lot of them are probably thrown away during maintenance anyways. That's how I got mine for free. Don't be afraid to ask. These are just like duckweed, except they grow even faster. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.